Okay, it is time to follow the white rabbit. Let's go. Okay, here we go. Now, what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be the root chakra. I know that so many other people have talked about the root chakra and everything like that. Whenever I talk about the fact that you need to clear childhood trauma and you need to work on yourself and you need to get to, like, you need to, how would I put this? You need to release the trauma and let go and, you know, be able to work through the emotions and all of that fun junk. All of that fun junk. Okay. So, the root chakra is the main area. Okay? Why I say it's the main area, because with the root chakra, that is at the base of the spine. Okay, so our hips, our hip flexors, that area, lower spine, that area, it is so imperative, especially if you are a childhood sexual trauma survivor. Okay? That area has been pretty much, I would say, closed off. And so it's one of those things that when you have been violated in that area, male or female, doesn't matter. When you have been violated in that area, it becomes insanely tight. Your muscles are tight, your body is closed off. That's where all the trauma is stored, is in your hips. For everybody, men and women, stored in the hips. Okay. Now, why I bring this up is because when it comes to, you know, love and money and all of that stuff, whenever it comes to becoming a better person, you will not be able to do anything until you have a solid root chakra. Okay? Doesn't matter. If you don't have good grounds, good stability, nothing can be built on it. It's just like a house. You cannot build a house on shaky ground. You have to start at the roots. You have to be at the base level. And that is one area that I'm going to be really straight up honest with you. That is one area that is so difficult to work on. So difficult to work on because of the fact that there's so much involved. Okay. Now, what I mean by that is our root chakra is all about our survival. It's all about our stability. And it's all about our security. And then it's all about our physical needs, which then breaks off into another area that I like to call, well, not like I like to call it, but I like to say that our physical needs are covered under Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you've ever heard of it, it's pretty much based off of the fact that it's a psychological theory that is saying that motivation is driven by these 5 things. And so I'm looking at my notes, just so you know, because teachers have notes, okay? And so Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is pretty much how we are able to level up in life, okay? Everybody starts off at the physiological basic level, which means that that is your basic survival needs. You need water, you need food, you need air, and you need shelter, okay? If you do not have those, and you have to have those 4, you need to keep those 4. Because if you don't have those 4, then your body will automatically go into survival mode and you will stay in survival mode. Realize that it does not matter. You need to be able to get those 4 things and keep those 4 things to stay consistent. Okay? And so, I'm recording crazy.
It's hailing.
Well, apparently it's hailing because I'm doing this video, and apparently that's a sign. Thank you, universe. I'm not even editing that stuff out right now. That's actually pretty dang cool, because apparently there's a sign, just so you guys know. Take it however you choose, because the universe is saying something. Okay, so let me get back onto this. So with the childhood trauma, and it doesn't matter what kind of trauma you have had, any kind of trauma, whether it be big trauma like mine, or little trauma, something that you were hurt by from someone else. It doesn't matter what the trauma is. It doesn't matter what kind of situation it is. You need to have those 4 things set in place, solid, locked in, for you to be able to even work on the next one. Because this is where once you have those basic needs met and you know that they're going to be met, you can move up to the next one, which is safety, which is like your security, your stability, your protection from harm, financial and physical security. Those areas, that's a hard one, because you are constantly going to think that you are unsafe. You are constantly going to think you are unsafe, especially in that area. Okay? What I mean by this is that back, I would say like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whenever I first really started working on myself and really doing this, and where I discovered kind of like all of this and how I started working on mine, was whenever I was living in a condo owned by my uncle. While I was living in this condo that was owned by my uncle, I eventually was bombarded with a lot of trauma flashbacks. Why? That's a good question. So I was bombarded with a lot of trauma flashbacks because of the fact that that condo was actually one of the places where I was abused as a child. Consistently. So because of it, I had actually a mental breakdown due to intense trauma flashbacks, meaning that my body was going through this consistent, my brain could not grasp 1 or 2 or 3 images. It was just like a constant barrage of downloads of constant images of lots of different things. I felt my body, because that trauma was stored in my body, I consistently felt unsafe. I am telling you, I felt like I was being attacked. Your body will store all of the pain that you have ever experienced. Your body holds on to it. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if you change the thought, if the body is still holding it. Okay? You have to get it out. You have to get that energy out. Okay? Now, why I say this is because of the fact that however severe your trauma is, the more you're going to have in your body. Something's going to come up. Think of it as you have a balloon underwater, you have a beach ball underwater, and you've been holding it down. You've been using drugs, you've been using relationships, you've been using food, you've been using all these different kinds of things to keep it down. You don't want those memories. You don't want those feelings. You don't want to feel it. You don't want to feel it. You're holding it down. You're pushing it down. And somehow it slips and it pops up. You are going to feel all of those emotions. You're going to feel everything. So in order to have you work through those emotions and break them down and really find the root cause, take it, reframe it, and then go ahead and release it, you need to have your basic needs met. You need to be in a place where you are safe, you're secure, and you are financially set. Okay? Now, this is where it gets really tricky, because of the fact that if you are doing this on your own, then you're going to definitely need help. That's why there's a lot of treatment centers that work through this as well. There's a lot of treatment centers that will help you with a lot of this stuff as you're going through it whenever you're struggling, because especially if you're struggling in addictions and all of that stuff, it's, those are the easier ways. Okay? If you don't have those, and if you're still working through this stuff, great. Having a therapist, because at this point, that's whenever I had to go get help with a therapist. But I also had to get a job that required me to show up and was very strict. That was one of the biggest things, was that I needed a strict job that I could not, that I needed to be at, that was close by, within walking distance, because I needed to be able to get there. I couldn't rely on transportation. I was going to have to get there no matter what. Okay. Now, in the next phase is the love and belonging. So social needs, including like relationships, friendships, and family connections. Now, because my family was the culprit to all of this, it was one of those things that I wasn't going to have family connections. But I was developing friendships with people. Now, this is where you're going to have, like, when you're working through this stuff, you're going to have those kind of connections with people. You're going to form trauma bonds. It's just inevitable. So don't beat yourself up for it, okay? Sometimes forming those trauma bonds helps both of you grow, okay? When you talk openly about your trauma and you realize that you're not the only one that has been through this stuff, some people even realizing that, hey, there are other people that have been through far worse and they're still going strong, they're still fighting the good fight. It's a sense of hope as well, okay? So don't beat yourself up. I know that in treatment they talk about, trauma bonds and not to form them and all of that junk, and it's like, you know what, sometimes, especially right now, we need to talk about this stuff. Let's be real. We need to. They don't want you talking about it because nobody wants to air the dirty laundry. Well, it's time to clean out the laundry basket. It's time to just chuck it all out. Let's throw it all out. Okay? This needs to be talked about because there's a lot worse going on out there that needs to be heard, needs to be said, and it's very therapeutic, especially for someone that was not allowed to speak up about it. If you were quieted, if you were silenced, if you were like Ariel, in The Little Mermaid, you had no voice, like you just couldn't, like it would not come out. For me, for the longest time, I struggled with talking even about it because I was trained not to. I was trained to stay silent. I was trained to be a good little girl, to shut up and keep my mouth shut and do what I'm told. Okay? That's not me anymore, just so you know. Heads up. Okay. So, it's important that you know that it's okay if you are socializing with people and you guys talk about this. It's okay. It's good to get it out. Esteem. Okay. Esteem is the desire for confidence, self-esteem, achievement, and respect from others. We are always searching for this. So realize that you're going to get up there the more you work through your trauma, and the more that you are bringing in your financial needs, the more that you are working on your stability, the more that you are working on like your social needs, the relationships that you're building, you're going to build that up. When I talk about relationships, when you're going through this stuff, when you are seriously starting to grow and change and reframe and do all of this stuff, intimate relationships are not the best idea. Just so you know. This is where you're going to form more like the trauma bonds with partners and it's gonna still be an unhealthy, toxic relationship. Okay, just throwing this out there for people. Okay, just saying that this is where the McDonald's relationships happen. They're cheap and they're easy, because if you have these kind of like traumas, especially the deeper and darker ones, if you have those, many people, their family dynamics were very broken and are still very, very toxic. So because of that, that's where you're going to get people that the narcissistic people that you're going to end up in relationships with. You're going to have people that are, playing games, that are using you, that you're either going to be an overgiver or you're going to be someone that's a taker. It's kind of, you're going to go back and forth. And so relationships, you're going to have those kind of relationships where it's going to be very, very codependent. And that's where you really have to work on your codependency. And this is like, especially if you are someone that has experienced sexual trauma, you're either going to be over or under sexually active. It's one of those things that has been said and shown that it either turns on a switch or it turns off a switch. And so because of it, realize that if you are overly sexual, that's something you got to get in check. You got to gain control over yourself. That self-mastery is a big thing. I have been, I would say, celibate for 2 years, 2.5, somewhere in there. I don't have the exact date on hand. 2 years, we're going to say. So, it's been one of those things that relationships were a big addiction of mine. I would get into any kind of friendship, any kind of relationship, doesn't matter, because I was so thirsty just for someone to love me, to just to want to be with me. You can't have that. You can't have that. Realize that you have to get that. You have to give it to yourself. And I'm speaking to women out there and men out there, because this is for everybody. If you have been in relationships that have been abusive, realize that you need to have that time for yourself to really and truly learn how to even love yourself, to say no to, like, there's so many other aspects, like we're getting off topic, but yes, this is where the self-actualization and the esteem step in, because you have to realize that you have to choose yourself. You have to be selfish. And I hate how they call it being selfish, because there has been such a negative connotation for being selfish. Who cares? People that want to use you and abuse you make you feel like crap for being selfish, for choosing yourself, for wanting to be happy, for saying, nope, you know what, instead, I'm going to say no to that because I don't like that. It's not being selfish. It's not. You are just actually choosing yourself. And there are people, toxic people out there, and I hate saying toxic because that word has been thrown around way too much, but still, there are people out there that will guilt, shame, all of that stuff, especially if you are someone that has been through a lot of trauma. The guilt and the shame are some of the biggest ways that people have controlled. Biggest one to control with. Now, the self-actualization part, reaching one's full potential and personal growth. Okay, that's where we're going. That's the goal, is we want to get to the self-actualization. Okay? But like I said, you're going to fluctuate between all of these things, because when you have very deep trauma, you're going to be knocked down consistently, and you're going to have to start all over, and you're going to have to work your way up the ladder again, because realize that every single thing that is a trauma trigger, something that you didn't even realize was one, is going to hit, and it's going to knock you on your butt. Now, these are the things, and I'll move out of the way for it. Okay, when you have a blocked root chakra, you're going to have fear, insecurity, anxiety, money issues, and disconnect. So you're going to fluctuate between the blocked and the overactive, because it's kind of like a pendulum. You're going to swing back and forth between the two. For the overactive, you're going to have greed, money obsession, or material obsession, meaning like where you want to have the really nice things, or you want to go on the really fancy trips, or like you want to show off how much money you have even though you be broke. Let's be real, you be broke. You have that obsession, rage, and stubbornness. Okay, that's overactive, that's blocked. Okay, now why I bring this stuff up is because of the fact that in my walkabout, that's the word. In my walkabout of where I've been on this journey of healing myself and studying and learning and really just like trying to figure things out, mostly for myself, but also because I see patterns everywhere. And so I've been seeing a pattern in a lot of things. Okay, so many things. There is a lot of root chakra toxicity and a lot of root chakra, I don't care if you want to pronounce, if you want to get in my comments and tell me how to pronounce it, go for it. I don't care. I'm going to say it how I say it. It's tomato, potato, okay? Okay. There's a lot of people out here right now. Everybody wants to have, generational wealth. Okay? If you are looking for generational wealth and a partner that isn't running around, sleeping around on you, and I'm not going to point fingers at guys or girls because it's both. Let's be real. It's toxic masculinity and toxic femininity that are kind of like running the show right now, okay? And we all have masculine and we all have feminine in us. Just let's not point fingers, okay? Girls and guys do the exact same things. It's just how it is. And the more that we sit there and try and point fingers at the opposite sex and say it's their fault, the more that we are creating the disconnect that the higher ups want us to be at odds. Let's be real. They don't want us to come together. They want us to be fighting amongst each other. Okay? So, with this is where you have to actually put in the work, is what I'm talking about, for healing your root chakra. Now, this is just one of them. If we want to get really esoteric, there's a lot. I don't know exactly how many there are, because the main ones that we talk about are the rainbow one all throughout our body, okay, throughout the spine. But we have way more. But we're not going to cover that right now. We're getting into just like the meat and potatoes of it. And on that note, potatoes, okay, there are things that you can work on. There are things that you can do to kind of control and balance it. So like, you don't have to stay stuck in your blocked or overactive. There are things you can do to try and help, balance it out. You need to find that neutral ground. That's that gray area, the neutrality of it all. You can't have fear, but you can't have greed. You can't like hoard, but you can't just like give it away, spend it. You can't just like let go of it. You can't be anxious, like scared, but you can't be like rage. You can't be angry. Like, anger is a good thing, but not rage. Anger is an emotion that helps you understand where a boundary was crossed, but it's not okay whenever you're taking it out on other people. It's not okay whenever you're directing it at someone else, okay? So, here are ways that you can kind of control and balance your root chakras, okay? Grounding exercises are great. Walking barefoot on grass, spending time in nature. I am a huge advocate for going out into nature. Like, giving it up to Mother Earth. Touch a plant, okay? Get a plant. Hold on, I'm gonna pull my plant here. Touch a plant. Get a plant, okay? Touch a plant. If you have to. If that's like the only thing that you can do, do that. Do that. Bamboo, amazing plants because they are so hard to kill, okay? And if you struggle with even just keeping yourself alive, get a bamboo, okay? Just saying. Here's one that I would do whenever I was working at Cabela's distribution center. I was a machine operator out there, and when I was there, during my breaks, during my 15-minute break or 20-minute break, depending on what shift I was on, or my lunch break, I would go sit outside. When the weather was good, I would go sit outside and I would sit in the grass. They have a grass area. I would eat my lunch there, and I would just sit in the grass, and I would just enjoy being in the grass. They have picnic tables outside. I knew one guy, I love you to death, dude. He was so awesome. He would go sit outside every single day. Not once. I mean, it would be snowing outside, and he'd have he'd have a heated coat, and he'd be sitting outside, and he'd be eating his food. Straight up. I was like, dude, you're devoted. A lot of other people would go sit outside in their cars and decompress. Totally understand that one. But it works better if you're touching ground, if you're in the nature part, okay? So if you're at work and you just need to get out and you need to do something, just go for a walk outside. Just go touch a tree. They have trees, I swear. You can go touch a tree. Go talk to the tree. Be that weird person, okay? It's okay. Maybe if you're the weird person, people won't bother you. They'll be like, oh, don't talk to Susie over there. She's the crazy one. She talks to trees. Save you a lot of headache with people. Just saying. Just throwing it out there. Okay. Now, one of my other favorites is yoga poses. I love yoga. Yoga has really helped me in being able to, because your psoas muscle, which is, I can't show it to you. It's like right here. It's like this muscle that is up in here. Okay? That muscle is how it tightens during stress and fear and all of that stuff. And you have to stretch it. You have to release it. You have to, you're going to get lower back pains, stuff like that. You're going to feel it. Stretching it. Doing yoga poses, warrior, bridge, mountain pose, tree pose. A lot of these are going to help you release it. There are other, I can't remember the yoga. I'll have to figure it out. It's one that is more static, and it's specifically designed for releasing trauma in certain areas. I cannot remember it, but if you know it, comment it below. Meditation and visualization are great ones as well. Affirmations. This is a big one for me because there were so many times I had to tell myself I am safe. I am safe. I'm not even kidding you. I had to constantly say, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. Another one that I I would tell myself, especially whenever it was back at the condo, you have to realize that your brain doesn't know the difference between a memory and like in real life, it happening in that moment. So when your brain goes in and you get a memory that pops up out of nowhere, your body instantly goes into the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. I'll talk about those another day. Don't worry. We're going to get there with triggers and stuff like that. That's where the triggers come in. Your body automatically goes into that response, and you automatically get engulfed with fear, and not like fear actually engulfs you. I'm just saying like the chemicals and the hormones and all that with fear, they come into play. Now, your body automatically does that, and because of that, your body will do the whole fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. In that moment, I had to tell myself that these are just memories, they're not real. These are memories, they're not real. That was a constant reminder to myself that I'm feeling the emotions. It's okay to feel the emotions. Let them course through. Let them run their course, because it's not happening right now. This is not happening right now. It's just a memory. It's just in the past. It's all in the past. It's not here with me right now. That is a common one that I have used, and so something that you can also use. Aromatherapy and crystals are great. Cedarwood, sandalwood, crystals are like black tourmaline, obsidian, great ones. And then there's also like physical activity, walking, dancing, hiking. Those are great things. Running even. Whenever I was going through a lot of it at that condo, I would go for runs in the woods. Great thing. You start out walking, and then the running is a great way to get out that anger, that pain, that raw anger that you're feeling. Take it out on running. It's so therapeutic. I promise you, it is super therapeutic. And then back to my whole comment about potatoes, which was God knows how long ago, but eating root vegetables is a big one. Now, carrots, potatoes, beets, those kind of things, eating those while you're going through it, I also did that whenever I was going through it. Chanting, so sound therapy, you can find online. There are so many people that have what are they? They have binaural beats. They have different things like crystal sound bowls, all of these kind of things. They have them for the root chakra and stuff like that, based on those needs. You can find anything on YouTube for that need. Even a great one that I personally used a lot of was whale sounds. I loved listening to that. That was very grounding for me, especially the whale sounds. It just was, it helped, because there has been studies done on how whale sounds have actually been very healing to people. So, just saying. Okay, so there's so many ways that you can work on this. And so I bring this up because of the fact that if you want generational wealth, and if you want to actually find someone, whoever it may be, to be your partner, don't care if it's a guy or girl, whatever, dealer's choice. If you want to find that other person, you have to work through these things. You have to clear everything out. You have to get rid of all the junk that is in your body, all of the toxicity that you have stored in your own body. Okay? So, why I bring this up and this is the last thing I'm going to leave you with, is the fact that you will not be able to get anywhere. You will not get generational wealth. You will not get a loving partner. You will not get out of the situation that you're in without getting rid of this stuff. What's in your body and what's in your mind. When I say that you have to get rid of it, realize that it's much like a storage unit. If you have a storage unit, if you have a closet, if you have a cup full of coffee, I don't care what analogy you want to use. Just the analogy is that it's full, okay? If it is completely jam-packed full of crap that you don't need anymore or that you don't want anymore, the only way you're going to get new stuff, only way you're going to get better stuff, the only way that you're going to be able to get the things that you want in life is to get rid of that old, outdated junk, that crap that is no longer serving you anymore. Okay? So, you got to get rid of it. There's a lot of ways to do that. Okay? I just gave you a whole rundown of it all, and I gave you pretty much kind of like an idea of just one area. Now, there's so much more to go in on all of this, but I just don't have time to do that in one video right now. I'm gonna be making a lot more videos talking about all these other things, but this was the main one because of the fact that I'm not the type of person that I'm going to step in slowly. I'm going to head straight in on it. I'm going to go full force into it because the quicker that I go into it full force, the quicker I get it over and done with. Okay? If you just kind of put your toe in and you just kind of like, oh, I'm a little bit nervous about this, I don't know if I can do this, and then you come back out of it, it's just not going to get done. It's not going to get done. You're going to stay in hell forever, and you're going to wonder why you can't get out. You need to go like the buffalo. You need to head straight on into the storm. They used to say in treatment that you cannot go around it, you cannot go over it, you cannot go under it, you have to go through it. So the quicker you get this crap out, the quicker that you pull out all of this disgustingness and work through it and get it gone, the quicker you're going to have a better life. Just saying. So, this is where it begins. Your root chakra is where it starts. And if you are curious, ask questions in the comments below. If you are curious, go Google stuff. Start doing your research. Start going and finding things. Start asking questions. You know, start figuring out what works for you. Because what works for me may not work for you. But you can always take what I used and see if it'll work. And then go from there. That's how we learn. Okay? Trial and error. So, if you want to get rid of these things that you don't like about yourself, if you want to become more self-actualized, if you want better self-esteem, if you want to be successful, you got to start somewhere. So start at the root. Play on words. Love you. I wish you the best of luck. You got this. And like, comment, subscribe, follow me, because I will be your teacher on this journey, and we're in this together, okay? We're in this together. Also, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to my email, jaggededgeshealing@gmail.com. I had to think on that one. But yes, you can always reach out to me and ask me questions or send me an email, whatever it may be. Okay? I love you. You got this. Bye!